You see this thing that I always keep saying, that these white folks know exactly what they are doing. They know when they actually came to start their colonization and how they can literally keep making black people feel bad is what you're about to see. Because, at first, a lot of people thought when it comes to the issue of racism, it is just related to Americans alone, right? But it has gone deeper than that. Every single place these people try to show their face, present themselves, they always try to make black people feel bad. They always try to make black people feel like they are not wanted in this environment, or they are not invited in a certain kind of gathering. But anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in at this episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And guys, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. I'll be back with commentaries.
Imagine sitting in a university lecture in Canada and your professor tells you that Black people are 4.5 times more likely to commit murder than white people, and that lower IQ scores in Black people may be explained by genetics. That's what students say happened at the University of Winnipeg in 2022. Professor Jeremy Freimer was teaching a psychology course on human behavior and intelligence. He included material related to race, IQ, and crime statistics. He said this data was fact-based and not personal opinion, and it was meant to spark discussion. In January 2023, students filed a formal complaint with the university alleging that this behavior constitutes harassment and discrimination. The university opened an investigation. The professor argued that his academic freedom was being violated. The university should be open to debates and discussion about controversial ideas. The situation didn't end there. His union declined to support him. His complaint to the labor board was dismissed, so he filed a civil lawsuit against the university and faculty, with a hearing expected this year. This isn't about one lecture. It's about where we draw the line between academic freedom and systemic racism in education.
Okay, guys, so longest time, and why am I here? I got my first blatant full-on racism today. I am now I'm not a racism virgin anymore. You know what's so funny about this? Like, the thing is, like, I stay in Canada, and in Canada, like, there is a lot of experiences you will have that you wonder, and you'd be like, was that racist? Was that not racist? I have had that experience over the past 5 years that I've been here, like, different times of my life, and most of the time it just leaves this sour taste in your mouth because you're not sure if that was racism. Like, there's sometimes I've had people, like, just be weird to me, but most of the time I'm like, okay, what sim is this? Is this sexism? Is this racism? Is this, what is this? But today it was clear. You know me, I work in sales, so today I was at work, and normally whenever a customer comes in, we're supposed to go to the front and be like, hey, how can I help you, whatever. So I'm just like being my normal bubbly smiley self, and then this lady comes in and I'm like, oh, how can I help you? And then she's like, doesn't reply me, and she walks past, and I'm like, huh, okay, that's interesting. But I'm like, maybe she didn't hear me. So I go to her and I'm like, oh, sorry, how can I help you? What are you looking for today? And she looks me dead in the eye, and like she has this ugly face, like, oh, like, sorry, not face, but like this ugly frown, and she's like, I don't want to speak to you. Can you get me another person? Okay. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Is there a reason why? Like, I don't know. And then she's like, doesn't reply me, and I'm like, okay. And I say, excuse me, and then she doesn't reply me, and she's like, I don't want to speak to you. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I go to the back, I call my manager, I'm like, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I feel there's a racist lady out there. And he's like, what? So he comes out, right? Here's the funny part, right? So in my workplace, like, most of us are people of color. So the moment I leave, she looks at the next person, and the person is like Asian, and the next person beside them is Asian, and the person behind me is like brown and Muslim. So they're like, okay. So she looks at the other guy, and he's the only person who is white. So she comes to him and she's like, oh, like, can he help me? And he already saw what happened, so he doesn't want to speak to her. So my manager comes in and he takes over the conversation. He's like, oh, hi, what are you looking for? She says what she's looking for, whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, so I could get this rep to help you. So he points at me, and she's like, I don't want help from her. And he's like, oh, is there a reason why? She's one of our best employees. Did anything happen? And she's just like, I don't want help from her. And she just walks out. And I'm like, Oh my, that is just like, I've heard a lot of people say like Alberta is racist. Honestly, as I said, I've had a lot of people who like same job. I've had a guy come up to me once and be like, oh my I need help, and I'm like, oh, can I help, like how can I help you? He's like, oh, I want to speak to the guy behind you. Now that one was sexism because another lady came and he only wanted to speak to a guy, so I know what sism is. It's always good to get the sism right, but this was like blatantly racist. Oh no, like I feel like I have never really experienced this before, and the anger I felt was like, it was insane. Like I swear to God, like I was so confused. I was like, because I'm this color, bro, like what the hell? Like I don't know how to explain it. The fact that people go through this every fucking day of their life like normal, I would lose my shit. I was about to like just point the lady's head. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? What can you do to me? Like, hey, Jesus Christ, like it was insane. It was insane. I don't know why it made me laugh, because like I cannot just take that seriously, because who the fuck are you in 2026? In 2026 you are being fucking come on, be for real. Let's be for real here. Anyways, I take my leave.
Have you heard of Jane and Finch in Toronto? Let's talk about systemic racism and the strategic dismantling of thriving Black communities. Here's the history. Jane and Finch is a community where a third of the residents are Black, Caribbean, African, Canadian. It was built in the 1960s and the 1970s. It was intended to provide affordable housing to working class people. At the time, Black families were faced with discrimination in housing and rentals across Toronto. So they settled where housing was available and they were allowed to live. Over time, schools have been under-resourced, support, care, upkeep for the community neglected. Instead of the City of Toronto investing in the community receives heavy policing, racial profiling, police presence, labeled as dangerous and unproductive. Jane and Finch is still a community that exists, but it doesn't have the reputation it has by accident.
I was 2 years old when I learned that Alberta is the equivalent of Texas in Canada for the most racist province. So yeah, I guess we have some work to do in Canada as well.
I remember seeing an older lady struggling in the snow, and I went, it must have been 13 and 14, and I went to try and help, right? And it was like, don't touch me, right? And almost like scared, right? And I'm thinking, like, why? It wasn't until a few years later that, that I understood what happened, because it always bugged me, like, okay, what did I do wrong, right? We also have to go back to the 90s when I came here, is that there weren't a lot of Black people here, right? The Black people that were here, we all pretty much got together, like, you know what I mean? You see each other at Superstore, you said hi to each other, right? So it was a shock coming here and not seeing a lot of people that looked like me. In a city like Regina, where you don't have a big Black population, for some people, their first interaction or their first view of a Black person is on the screen. So then when they see you for the first time, sometimes they project that onto you. So in my 40s now, I find myself where I'm like, okay, well, I was born in Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria for 11 years out of my life. I'm very proud of the country that I'm from. But I've lived in Canada for 30 years. I'm very proud to be Canadian. And I'm trying to find that identity. The Nigerians that are new here will say, nope, you're not Nigerian anymore. But Canadians don't look at you as Canadian. They still see you as the Black guy. Or, so somewhere in between. My kids are 12 and 10, and they've struggled with racism in school. And I've had to go and talk to the school principal about certain things that were said, right? Like, like they've been called the N-word in school, right? And they're mixed race. But I do remember the first time I was called the N-word. I remember feeling anger, feeling like I need to get out and avenge and get revenge. And, I remember feeling that multiple times, right? But then, like, as it goes on, you just learn to kind of just understand that, you know what, like, with it bothering you so much, you're letting them have space in your head, and it connotates slavery, right? I start to tell myself that word is not going to bother me because I am nobody's slave. Obviously, if somebody said it to me today, I will let them know that no, it's inappropriate. But in my mind, I won't let it take up space.
I remember when I was first called the N-word, I was, walking down Safeway and Cathedral, minding my own business, as I always am. And then some black truck speeds past me, and a white guy rolls down his window and cusses me out and says the N-word. And I was shocked, because no one had ever said it to me before. And then as I'm still trying to figure out what's happening, as I'm walking towards Safeway, he turns the corner and says it again. At this point, I cuss him out in every language I can speak.
Yeah.
But that word, it did not, and I suspect it's because I've spent more time on the continent than other immigrants. It irritated me at most, but it did not pierce my skin the way he hoped it would.
Yeah.
I am African and I'm proud of it. And also I recognize that because I am secure in who I am and because I am secure in my culture and I have pride in it, I am not intimidated by other people's cultures.
My son plays hockey, and one kid calls the other kid an N-word, and the other kid calls the other one an N-word. They're both Caucasians. The ref hears it, it turns into a suspension and everything like that. The kids didn't know what they did wrong, right? They did not know what they did wrong. So when the coaches actually explained to the kids why this word is wrong, these kids felt so bad, right? Because it's not that they're hearing it at home, but remember, pop culture, music, right? Right? Like music that we put out as black people, it's used all the time in it, right? So to them, it's just part of the,
music,
they just think it's music and part of the culture of the hip hop culture or whatever it is, right? So they felt really bad. And even though my son was not involved in this altercation whatsoever, did not hear this whatsoever, the touching part of it is that this kid came to my son the next time he saw him and apologized to my son for using that word, right? So little things like that just makes me believe in humanity, that we could get to a point where people would not have to have that same experience that you and I had, because the world hopefully will become more caring and inclusive.
Hey y'all, quick story time on this New Year's Eve. So I want to come and bring awareness to Canada, the Canadians, the white people, right? Planned a birthday trip for my husband. His birthday is New Year's Day. Been planning the trip a little over 2 months. Paid for a Raptors game, which is supposed to be tomorrow. Reserved the W Hotel, which is in downtown Toronto. We had dinner reservations on Sunday. However, we from Chicago. We drove to Canada because we wanted the experience. We like road trips. Now, man, we have passports, all documentation, cars insured, whatever. We was racially profiled. As soon as we got to the border, they asked us for our passports. All the questions started. Why you want to come to Canada? Mini trip to Toronto. Why you want to come here? Never been everywhere else. Why not? It's a quick drive, 8 hours from the Chi. Whatever. Do you got any drugs or weapons in the car? No. Got any alcohol? Absolutely. We got 2 bottles of Patron, 2/5. Okay, well, since this y'all first time coming, they told us we had to proceed to the immigration area because this was our first time. Okay, we got you. We ain't never been to Canada. We'll go. All right. Go over there. Now, my husband drive a Jeep SRT. So, immediately, 3 or 4 officers come to the truck. They tell us we got to get out. They got to search the unit because it's our first time in Canada. Again, not thinking nothing of it. We following protocol. We never been to Canada. We don't know. We don't know the process. When we went to Dubai, it was easy. Smooth transition as long as you had your documentation. So we get out. They checking my purse. They checking our suitcases. They checking the visors. They checking under the seats. They checking his book bag with his PS5 in it. They was checking everything. Oh, they checked the tires. I guess you can have some shit under the tires. So, of course, car is clean. They found nothing. They then tell us we got to go inside the immigration place. Because, again, this is our first time. Still, no red alerts right now. We just thinking, all right, whatever. We go in. All Caucasian people is sitting at the counter. Nobody greeted us. Nobody asked us if we needed help. So I asked, can we get some assistance? Caucasian lady, you can come to us. Gave her our passports and the yellow slip that they give you when you grade across the bridge. Again, asked us the same damn questions. Why you coming to Canada? When is his birthday? Well, why we coming on Saturday? Well, his birthday is Monday. Why would we drive down here on Monday? We go to work Tuesday. Where you guys work at? We told him our employer. Both of you? Well, we told you both of us work there. Okay, whatever. So again, since this was our first time to Canada, they proceeded to tell us they need to do a background check. Well, why? We never been over here. We have passports, didn't have passports for over 7 years. Why is there a background check required for us? Man, it's other Caucasian people coming in and out. They're greeting them, Happy New Year, have a good day, enjoy your trip. But with us, the only skin tone that's our color, had to get background checks ran, had to sit in the immigration office for over 2.5 hours, only for them to come. Now, they didn't run the background on me. They only ran it on my husband, okay? Only for them to come back and tell us that they're going to deny his entry to Canada because he was on probation in 2004. 20 fucking years ago. 2004, you're going to deny him entry. However, all the Caucasian people coming in and out, they didn't even ask them for passports, okay? They didn't even ask them, was it their first time to Canada? They did not ask what was their reason for visiting Canada. But however, you get brown skinned people that can afford to come over there to spend their hard-earned money only for you to deny them. Why? Are we a threat to you? Do you not feel like we can afford to come over here with you? Why would you deny us? Out of all the people that was crossing the border, why were we the only two of our color to get stopped? But all the Caucasians, okay? All the Caucasian people can come and go as they please, and you telling them Happy New Year, have a good day. But when us, people of color, come in, it's a problem. Automatically, we have to have a background. Automatically, it's a reason behind why we want to visit. It was rude. It was distasteful. You ruined my husband's birthday trip. Canada is not for people of color. A Hispanic guy come. When we was leaving, they treated him like pure shit. They was yelling at him. Now, he didn't understand the questions they was asking of him. You could have just brought somebody from the back who maybe spoke Spanish for this young man so that he can understand what was going on. Y'all treated him like he was trash. Again, people of color. White people, y'all got to do better. Y'all have to do better.
I really wanted to talk about how I have found that in my experiences, this is speaking from my experience and also looking at the data objectively, essentially, Canada is actually more racist than America. I know it sounds weird, right? But just hang in there with me. So what I have found is that Canada has this sort of snobbish, turn your nose up to passive aggressive attitude towards Black people and towards what it is that they feel is their responsibility. So because Canada as a nation never ever, had, colonies and colonies of slaves, of Black slaves, because Canada never ever had any, lynching, Jim Crow, all of that stuff that we know historically happened in America. They look at it like, we never enslaved you. That was the Americans. The only people we owe anything to is the indigenous. So, but what that actually does is it creates an environment where the Black community in Canada, let's just say in Ontario, in Toronto, let's just call it that, in the GTA, they literally don't have a strong concern for the Black plight because we haven't been educated about the Black plight from a Canadian perspective, from an American perspective. It doesn't really matter. And actually, we've been educated it from an American perspective, And it's been taught to us like, oh, that's what they did. We never did that. As a matter of fact, we welcomed runaway slaves through the Underground Railroad. And so you should be thankful. They give off a certain attitude. It's an undertone and it's a framing. It's not direct. And what I always say is that, like, I would take Trump, not today's Trump, because today's Trump has gone blue, but I will take Trump over Hillary. Trump will tell you to your face, bro, I'm racist. I hate you people. Get out of here. Meanwhile, Hillary will be like, oh my God, I love you people. You're amazing. Get these fucking people out of my face, please. That's literally Hillary. I don't want somebody who is gonna la-di-da with me in front of my face, and then behind my back they're actually plotting and scheming against me and my people. That's not what I'm in for. I'd rather Trump. I'd rather someone just tell me straight up. And that's the difference between America and Canada. Canada is Hillary. They play in your face like they like you, but they're worse than Americans. And the reason why they're really worse than Americans is because technically, when you think about it, in America, literally, there is no white, no Caucasian without black and indigenous. There is no white without black there. Their whole existence is predicated on us. And so, with that, Canada feels self-righteous. And so it actually treats the Black people here in that way, where they only care about the indigenous to that extent, to the extent that Americans care about, and it's not even to say care, but there's this knowing that they owe them shit. And here they deny. So that Canadian self-righteousness of feeling like, oh, we would never enslave Black people, so we don't owe you shit. It bleeds out in the politics. It bleeds out in the socioeconomic fabric of the culture here in Toronto and the GTA. And so what I find is, let's say a woman like me who came from the hood and worked their way up to the level of university and then working in the government is actually so uncommon here, because there's one of two types of Black women here. And actually, there's a few different types of Black women here. But the archetype that I represent, I'm in my own lane. But there's tons of me in America.
They say racism doesn't exist in Canada, but some of the stories I'm hearing about things that go on in Alberta, I'm a little bit confused, man. Y'all racist in Alberta? That's crazy. It's racist and cold.
Top 5 most racist cities in Canada. At number 5 is Calgary, Alberta. This is how it's pronounced. My know-it-all people on Instagram, they made sure to thoroughly correct me. So it's pronounced Calgary, Alberta. It's a very, very racist city, especially against Africans. Calgary has been the site of multiple hate crimes targeting Black individuals. Many Black residents report experiencing workplace and housing discriminations. Racial profiling and over-policing have been concerns raised by activists, right? So Calgary, Alberta is a very, very racist city against Africans. Number 4 is Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax, Nova Scotia. On this one, they will crucify me in the comments. Halifax has deep-rooted systemic racism, particularly against its historic Black population. The destruction of Afric View, a Black community in the 1960s, remains a major symbol of racial injustice. Black people in Halifax have reported ongoing discrimination in employment and law enforcement, right? So Halifax is a very, very racist city in Canada. Interesting. Number 3 is Vancouver, British Columbia. So Vancouver is apparently a very, very racist city. Vancouver has a long history of racial discrimination, including exclusionary policies in housing. Black residents have have reported frequent racial profiling by police and security. The city's history includes the destruction of Hogan's Alley, a historically black neighborhood. So that's very interesting. Do you live in Vancouver? Let me know your experience in the comment section. At number 2, the second most racist city in Canada is Toronto, Ontario. Interesting. Despite being Canada's most diverse city, systemic racism persists in policing, education, and employment. Black residents are disproportionately targeted by police carding. Interesting. Workplace discrimination and housing inequality affect black communities. If you like this list, I wanted that list like this, please plan like and leave me a comment with the city in Canada that you live, and do you experience racism over there? Let me know in the comment section. Anyway, at number 1, the king of racism in Canada, the city that tops the list, is Winnipeg, Manitoba. In 2015, Maclean's magazine called Winnipeg the most racist city in Canada. Reports of racism against Indigenous and Black people have been common. Black residents have spoken about racial profiling and discrimination in housing and employment. So they are very, very racist apparently in Winnipeg, Canada. Do you agree with this? Let me know in the comment section, and see you guys in my next video. Bye.
It's actually mind-boggling how much the Canadian youth and teenagers are racist, and the fact that it's so normalized. A youth just passed by in front of my car, and that person looks at me and he spits in front of my car. It was just so unnecessary, and I wonder what these kids are learning from their parents. Like, are their parents okay with this behavior?
Anyways, thank you so much for watching all of that video, and I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed every single clips of that video. The honest truth is, whenever it comes to the issue of racism, I always know that every single place that black people are presented, these people are literally not happy. And if these people have all of that opportunity gathered in their hands to be able to move black people to a certain location, honestly, they will do that. The only place we don't really talk about racism most at times is where you see these countries with predominantly black people, where they are actually not mixed race. But if there is a single mixed race, there must be racism issues. Just imagine just Africa, in one part of the Africa, which is South Africa, where they were literally having a mixed race, the white South Africans and the black South Africans. It was still a whole lot. They still complain racism. Whenever these people see black people, they tend to see us as competition. They tend to see us as a problem. And honestly, a lot of time I've been trying to wrap my head towards that, why I have to be a racist towards a particular person, why I have to see my fellow human being and make that my fellow human being look less of his or herself, why I have to see a particular child and call that child a specific special or a special, all in the name of I'm trying to glorify my own skin is crazy, is what I really do not understand. One of the things these colonizers have really done to us black people is to reclassify a lot of things and make their self look like they are in the hierarchy. I don't see them like that. That's just the honest truth. I really don't even notice them. I really don't even think that they have all of that privilege. You can imagine Canada. A lot of people have literally been coming out, crying out, airing out that if you think racism ends in America, Canada is another house of racism, is another zone of racism itself, is another place where racism is being built to the highest level. And sometimes you now start asking yourself, what are we fighting for? What are we dragging? Why are black people not allowed to speak freely? You don't understand the simple terms, because the fear of letting the black people being on top, the fear that when black people literally eventually get to the top, they are still going to do the same thing to them. But in all of this, are we not rising? We are still rising. In all of this, are we not standing? We are still standing. In all of this, are we not still trying our possible best as black people to show forth? We are still doing that. Black people are still becoming billionaires. It is only a black person that they will racially profile and tell that person you don't belong in this environment. Why are you in this place? You are not supposed to be working here. Your type of person do not look like someone that can live in this certain environment, quote to quote. Oh, this is a predominantly white environment. I live in this environment and I know every single thing and I know every single person in this environment. And you know the funniest and the annoying and the stupid part is the fact that most of these things is coming from the elderly ones, those ones that are supposed to be teaching their children what to do, those ones are supposed to be educating their grandchildren, those ones are supposed to be coming together and preaching what they really know is the best, are still the same people that are justifying racism. And you know, the most ugly part of it is whenever you come up with the issue of racism, whenever you come up with that conversation, they'll open their wide mouth and tell you that, oh, even black people can be racist too. Black people can be racist. Racism is everywhere. We also went through slavery. We also suffered as well. They will now have to start justifying what they know that was literally wrong. May I not raise a child in a generation that will not understand what the sympathy of humanity is all about. Honestly, may God not make me raise a child that will see another person and look down on that person from head to toe. This is the nature of these white folks, of some of these white folks, because I'm not going to generalize all of them, because I know that we still have few good ones among them that understand the system, understand what is happening, that are also speaking about this evil called racism. The question is, can racism be literally in race? I just want to hear your answer in the comment section. Just let me know. If yes, how? If no, why do you think it can never be in race? I just want to know. But anyways, thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you, liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, ado like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.